My name is Ari Levitt, and it has been my distinct pleasure to be the moderator for the 2019 MEDI Awards. MEDI stands for Medical Entrepreneurship and Disruption, and the awards were created in 2013 to recognize and acknowledge companies for their innovation in 5 different areas. Those are the company with the most outstanding startup pitch, the company to watch, the company with the most convergent technology, the company with the most disruptive technology, and the company most likely to scale. And this last award actually is new this year and is being sponsored and presented by Anthem. During the afternoon breakout sessions for the last 2 days, 19 innovative startup companies had roughly 3 minutes to make their pitch to a panel of 5 judges, and then they had 3 minutes to respond to questions from those judges. I would now like to introduce each of the 5 judges who will explain a little more about the award they will be presenting and the recipient of that award for 2019. So please welcome to the stage Chip Blaufuss, Chief Innovator and Officer for HCA Healthcare, David Maltz, the Managing Partner for Intervalent. There we are. Applauses are fantastic. Go get them. We need more applause. Maria Filipova, who's the VP Innovator for Anthem. Maria. Shailendra Mahajan, who's the Managing Director for Maxim Ventures. And the crowd goes wild. Pat McGinnis, Medical Director for Humana Military. Excellent. While the judges finish taking their seats, I would also like to introduce 2 members of MedTech Innovator who have been instrumental in helping to organize the MEDI Awards over the past several years. The mission of their company is to improve the lives of patients by accelerating the growth of companies that are transforming the healthcare system. So please welcome Paul Grand, MedTech Innovator and CEO, and Katharina Zavala, who's the Vice President of Business Development and Operations.
I don't know if I need the clicker, but thank you very much. Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm Paul Grand, CEO at MedTech Innovator. You've seen a lot of great technology over the last couple of days. Behind all those great technologies are innovators. The innovators are the ones who sleep, eat, and drink these companies 24/7. Without them, we wouldn't have these amazing technologies. So I'll just quickly tell you a little bit about MedTech Innovator, and then we'll kick it off for this program. So up here on the slide, you're looking at the finals of the MedTech Innovator competition, which was actually really about 3 weeks ago. This is a global competition we run all year long in partnership with all the companies you see up on the top of the slide over here. So what you're looking at are the accelerator companies in the 2019 MedTech Innovator program, as well as behind them on a huge screen that you can't see all of right now are the 39 products that have been brought to market by the alumni of MedTech Innovator over the last 5 years. We're, as I mentioned, a global competition, so we've looked at over 3,000 companies over the last 5 years, all over the world. So our mission is to find the most compelling technologies all over the world and make sure those technologies actually reach patients, which I think, as you all know, is not an easy challenge. And again, the whole mission here is to make sure these technologies are in the market. They're not just getting funded, they're not just getting off the ground, but they're actually getting there, and they're getting there in a way that can be purchased by the healthcare system, value-based care, all the things we all know so much about. We have to make sure these technologies actually have an impact. So that's what we do at MedTech Innovator. If you look up at the top of the slide and you see all the partners up there, if your logo's not up there, please see me after this event. We want to make sure that you're part of this. Or Catherine Zavala, who's in the audience over there, Catherine Wave, who was also introduced by Ari. Come find one of us on the beach afterwards and come see us, and we'll tell you all about MedTech Innovator. So as we mentioned, this is a competition. There were 50 companies in the Innovation Lab who were presenting and who you hopefully had a chance to meet over the last few days. From them, many of them self-selected to be considered for the MEDI Award this year. So there were more companies that wanted to be part of this than we could have in the pitches. We had 19 companies pitching over the last 2 days. During these breaks, the judges who you see up here on stage were spending that hour and a half while you were out in breakout sessions. They were listening to all these pitches. We went through all the companies. We debated them endlessly after the session yesterday as well as today. And we really spent a lot of time talking about all these different technologies, what the impact was. And hopefully you realize that getting these awards here on the stage really can have an impact for these companies. So we take it very seriously, and we take this as something that I think each of us really takes to heart. So this is definitely a labor of love, not just something that we're just doing to give out some checks on stage. One of the things that I want to encourage each of you, so after the companies present today and you have a chance to hear about them, please seek them out. Please find these companies, walk up to them, introduce yourself. If there's something you can do that you believe you can do to help these innovators, I encourage you to do it because it absolutely takes a village to be successful as a startup. I want you guys to find these companies, help them, just give them your name and just give them an offer just to help. So with that, I want to make one last announcement, which is that we really did debate these awards. So this wasn't something where it was a quick, easy decision. We had a number of companies in each category that easily could have been the winner. So you'll hear in a couple cases that there's an honorable mention in a category, and that company easily could have been the winner, but you have to pick a winner. So we have a winner in each category, but you'll hear an honorable mention in several of them. And the way it's going to work is our judges are each going to introduce the category that they're introducing. They'll tell you about it and what the criteria was. You'll hear who the winner is. You can applaud then quickly if you'd like. They're going to come out and present for you, so you'll see the same pitch we did. And then there'll be a formal check, or a trophy award, and they'll take a picture, and then we'll go on to the next pitch and so on. So there'll be a lot of chances for applause. Please do applaud a lot for these companies. They definitely deserve it. So with that, I'm going to bring it over to Chip, who's going to come up here and give us the first category, and he'll take it from here. I just want to mention one more time, medtechinnovator.org, our website, www.medtechinnovator.org. If you're interested in working with us, or if you're interested in applying, if you're a startup, our application is just open for our next cycle, and it is a huge opportunity, so I encourage you to do that. Thank you very much, everyone. And Chip, take it away.
Awesome. Thank you. So I get the pleasure of introducing the first award, which is Convergence, which is the best application of converging technologies like robotics, artificial intelligence. This is one of the categories where we had an honorable mention, a company named Promaxo. Are they in the room tonight? Okay, I guess not. The winner is a company named TechFit Digital Solutions. I invite Mauricio to come on out and present.
Thank you, Chip. I am Mauricio Toro. I'm CEO and co-founder of TechFit Digital Surgery. I will start this pitch from the end of the pitch I did earlier. We are an exponential medicine success story, I think. We came here with my co-founder 2 years ago. We were a bootstrapped startup out of Colombia. We were doing great, using cool technology, but growing linearly. We got our heads shook by Daniel and all his team, and we decided we needed to transform the company. We came back last year, and I convinced Shafi Ahmed over breakfast to show a teaser video of what we were achieving in his presentation. Well, and now I'm here. So thank you, Exponential Medicine, not only for the opportunity of putting us here, but also for getting us in the mindset to be here. Now to start with the pitch, I introduce you to Maria. In 2011, Maria was 19 years old, and she was a pre-law student. She was diagnosed with an ameloblastoma, which is a benign but very aggressive tumor in the mandible with TMJ compromise. Maria was terrified. She didn't know what to do. In her mind, she was going to die or be severely mutilated. The surgical procedure to remove her tumor consists of cutting the mandible out, removing the tumor, cutting a part of her fibula, moving it up to the mandible, and fixing it with a titanium plate. This case is not uncommon. There's more than 370,000 cases of mandibular cancer every year, and there are more than 1 million cases of bone reconstruction every year. There's 2 options for Maria. Number 1 is she gets a standard plate. So the standard plate, the surgeon removes the tumor as best as he can. He removes the fibula as best as he can. He takes a standard plate from a tray and bends it in the OR. Though the cancer is removed, as you can see in the symmetry of the mandible, the results are less than acceptable. Or she can get a TechFit treatment. With a TechFit treatment, we start from the imaging. We convert that into a 3D model where the surgeon can perform the case as many times as he wants, or the surgical team can perform the case as many times as they want in a virtual environment. Then we will custom-made 3D printed implants for that case and 3D printed surgical guides. The result is perfection. It's clear which case we would want, right? Well, there is a reality. Only one out of, even though this technology has been around for a while, only 1 out of every 30 patients that can get this treatment are getting it. And there are 3 main reasons. Number 1 is there's a lack of surgeon education around the topic. Number 2, there's a lack of time available to surgeons to actually sit down with the engineers and plan the cases. And number 3, the communication between the engineers and the physicians, especially if it's a surgical team, are very difficult. And if there's a barrier of time zones or continents, it becomes even harder. So at TechFit, we don't see ourselves as a 3D printing company. We see ourselves as an integral end-to-end platform for custom surgical reconstruction. We start with the diagnostics. We take the imaging, we process it, and we convert it into 3D models that can be used not only for surgical planning, but for engineering studies. And it has feedback with the with the data from past procedures, but to tell the patient exactly what the procedure is going to be. Then for the surgery, we custom manufacture the implants and the instruments as required in the different materials. And then in the post-op, we have data from every planning we have ever done. And we have some partners where we actually share outcome data, and we use that to feedback the loop and grow some of our AI algorithms to improve the surgical planning on behalf of the engineers. And it is all backed up on an augmented reality app. So this app is a step-by-step workflow that is completely traceable. And there's a 3D chat where every surgeon involved in the case and every engineer are comparing the notes on how to plan the case. They can do it anywhere, anytime, which is saving them a lot of time, and they can share it even with residents or fellows to improve the planning treatment. And the communication between the engineers and the surgeons, it puts them all in the same virtual room. The other thing we're doing is a virtual academic community, where we invite surgeons from all across the world to train other surgeons in how to use digital surgical technologies and how to improve their bone reconstructive surgery. Last meeting was last month in Orlando in Lake Nona, and we had more than 150 surgeons from all across the globe attend, and we had more than 5,000 views on our social media broadcast. So this is improving the education. We have a great team of regulatory, medical, engineering, research, you name it, that are committed and we work with some of the most important partners in both in healthcare but engineering to create one reality, and this is making custom the new standard of treatment. This is Maria. She's now a mother and a lawyer. And we don't only do this for Maria. We do this for the more than 2,000 patients that we have treated thus far with this solution, and for the millions of people that we can do it if we make this technology scale. Thank you very much. Thank you, Chip. Thank you.
Well, great. I have the honor of presenting the award for the most disruptive. This is obviously something this community is all about, is finding ways to shake up the markets and finding ways to bring exponentials into places they just haven't seen before. This is another example of a place where we saw an honorable mention. It was a really difficult choice. As you can imagine, a lot of disruptive companies are coming here to share their wares. The honorable mention for most disruptive goes to Forest Devices. So thank you very much for Forest Devices. Hopefully you're in the room. And the award for most disruptive goes to StemOnyx. I'd like to welcome Ping out to the stage.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Ping Ye, and I am the co-founder and CEO of StemOnyx. 7 years ago, almost to the day, I was on my 3rd round of chemo, and little did I know 5 rounds later that I would be resistant to the chemotherapy that I was given. I had to be given then a more potent, maximum potency version of chemo, and as you can see, my daughter there, my most important doctor. It was a scary time because we weren't sure if that chemo was going to cure or kill me. But that planted the seed in my mind of how can we test drugs on human cells, people cells, yours, mine, without risking the patient's lives. And so that planted the idea of StemOnyx. And I'm just one of millions of people every day who have to go through those risks you'll see adverse drug reactions are the 4th leading cause of death in the United States, over 100,000 a year. And brain and heart toxicity actually is the majority of the reasons why clinical trials fail from a safety perspective. And as many of you know now after this conference, it takes a really long time, over a dozen years, $1 billion to get a single drug to market. So what StemoniX does is we make human microorgans. Now we do this from skin or blood through our iPSC, or induced pluripotent stem cell technology that won the Nobel Prize in 2012. We also make microhearts and micropancreases, but given the time limit today, I'll focus on brains. And as you heard throughout the conference, a lot about organoids. Now, organoids are very interesting, and we know because one of our senior scientists was on the cover of Cell Stem Cell this month on the fact that these more complex cortical organoids have an activity that mimicked a 35-week-old preterm neonatal signal, EEG. Now, that's amazing, but what are the challenges of the industry? And the challenge is scale and consistency. Johnson & Johnson and pharmaceutical companies and US government agencies don't have 5 compounds to screen, they have thousands. So you have to make the scale and the consistency to screen those. So there you can see a plate. I have one in my pocket here. 384 brains on a single plate like this. But a couple years ago, one of our senior scientists, Cassiano, he's brilliant, he realized that after a few months, there was a synchronization of the 30,000 brain cells in a single ball. And here's the video. So you're seeing a synchronization of the calcium release of these 30,000 brain cells. Now, what's really cool about it is you can now use these brain cells to test for drug safety. But what's really, really amazing is that at high throughput, you can now screen against diseases. So here's an example. On the top is a control healthy, and Cassiano is one of the leaders in Rett syndrome, the first to publish on that disease on a leading journal. And we did a screen of 300 compounds and found drugs that actually rescued that activity back to normal, as you can see there. But when you have thousands of brains and waveforms going for hours at a time, you need to go beyond biology. So at StemoniX, what we do is we converge biology with AI technologies to basically extract the mathematical parameters from these waveforms that are shown by each of these diseases and brains. So it's like a fingerprint. And so we take these parameters and convert them into an algorithm that then predicts on thousands or hundreds of drugs which drugs are safe and which ones are effective. And we do this what normally would take 6 months down to weeks, and something that might take a couple weeks down to hours. So we're completely collapsing down the drug discovery workflow, saving years for our customers and partners, and saving them hundreds of millions to billions of dollars. And so we are actually the first human model to go through the top 40 pharmaceutical industry consortium called the IQ. And they've actually validated us to be significantly better, orders of magnitude better than the current animal gold standard. They're saving hundreds of millions of dollars by using these and finding drugs that would fail later on. We're also the first model tested by the NIH to screen compounds to fight the opioid epidemic, to find painkillers that are less addictive. And we've been used by the US Army to find medicines and vaccines to fight weaponizable viruses to keep our soldiers safe. So when you look at our capabilities, what we're doing is really accelerating and discovering new medicines for some of the most challenging diseases of the brain, so that in the future, we can enable a medicine to work the first time. Thank you. I put this back in? Oh, well. Thanks.
Good evening, everyone. It's a true testament to your commitment to innovation that you're still here at 7:30 in the evening. Thank you, Daniel. It's a pleasure to be introducing this new award this year. And the award for most likely to scale was born from the realization that what is missing from the opportunity to take all these amazing breakthroughs that we see at exponential medicine to make them standard and the default in the field is really the opportunity to test them safely and get them closer to the problems of individuals and communities that we serve. And so with that realization, we got together with a couple of our most innovative employers, and we provided a platform for select companies to come and test their solutions with us. So the winner of this award will have the opportunity to do just that, test and present to us and a handful of our most innovative employers who represent a total of 2.8 million members and lives. I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge two fearless leaders who made that award possible. One, Meredith Touchstone from CarMax, who helped us curate and find the right winner today. Thank you, Meredith. And two, Swati Matai from Anthem, who helped us curate the group of enlightened employers who are doing this with us. So thank you, Swati. With that, the winner of the Most Likely to Scale award with a solution that addresses the overall health wellness of individuals and communities by tackling social drivers of health, community health, and behavior health is Sana Health.
Thank you very much, everyone. Some fact cues first. To Daniel, obviously, for all the organization and us being here in the first place, thank you very much. To Paul Grand and Catherine and all the team at MedTech Innovator, without you I wouldn't be here, so thank you. To the Anthem crew for this, and also for all the support we've had from everybody. My team have been very dedicated, but it's taking a very large amount of support from a very large number of people to get us here, so thank you all. With that, on to our presentation. So Sana Health is a device for the at-home treatment of chronic pain. This is the current version of the device. The pain problem in America is a massively large pain problem. I personally know about this because the injury that put me in a wheelchair happened in the Yemen, and it also gave me a nerve damage pain problem that was so severe I was given a 5-year life expectancy. I made the original device in order to solve that problem, and it's been a 27-year-long journey since then to actually get that into a form that we can now help multiple other people. Within that last group, the fibromyalgia is the area of pain we're going after first, but we've had very good data across anxiety, depression, and pain. Pain is a very complex, multifaceted problem, and that is why it's not particularly amenable to drug solutions. What you need is a systemic relaxation effect. This is a bigger picture of what the device actually looks like. So it's using pulsed light and pulsed sound and a heart rate variability feedback loop to get the user into very specific frequency states, which creates a very deep relaxation state in about 10 minutes, and also increases neuroplasticity to change levels of pain, anxiety, depression over time. And this is why you can do something with light and sound that you can't do with drugs or with magnetics, with TMS, or with electrical stimulation. If you look at the picture on the left, you've got a brain that is the left hemisphere and the right hemisphere, and frequencies 1 to 30, and you can see a massive amount of activity more on the left than on the right. That is typical with everyone in chronic pain. And if you can return someone to a balanced activity between the two hemispheres, then you create a much deeper relaxation and an ability to tackle pain. That you can do with light and sound because you can access each eye separately and each ear separately. This was results from a fibromyalgia study. Best standard of care on a treatment-resistant group ended up with a tiny 2% change, and we got a 45% improvement to quality of life on top of that. Within this study, we beat Prozac on depression, we beat Xanax on anxiety, and we beat Ambien on sleep issues. So scaling. Basically, The device is going to end up having a COGS of less than $50, and we're looking at a subscription model. So what we need to actually get us to that scale is the partners like Anthem, and also just a little bit more investment. We're in the middle of finishing off a round of investment now, so if there's any further interest in helping us on that front, please come and find me afterwards. And so one last thank you to all of you. Thank you.
Hi. Hi, I'm happy to present the next award. The category is a startup company to watch. And the criteria was the company may be too early for today's market, but has the potential to significantly impact a key aspect of patient care or healthcare delivery. We want to celebrate creative, big, inspiring companies and ideas. Before I announce the winner, I want to give honorable mention to NeuroX. Not sure if they're here. Okay. And the winner is Pyramis.
Thank you very much, and thank you all for inviting me here to give this award, or to get this award, rather. I'm Zina Kwan. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Pyramis. We're a small startup out of Stanford University, and we're developing a family of blood pressure monitoring wearable devices for patients starting with newborns, where there's a great need for pain-free and risk-free blood pressure measurement, to the hundreds of millions of adults who could benefit from better blood pressure control. I'd like you to imagine that you or a loved one has just had a tiny premature baby, 1 or 2 pounds, fits in the palms of your hands, skin almost too fragile to touch, and limbs the size of your finger. Now I'd like you to imagine that that baby is getting ill, and the medical team wants to monitor her blood pressure in order to avoid a hypotensive crisis. Today's standard of care is to use an arterial line. You take a catheter and poke it into her artery. It's an expensive process. It could cost a couple $1,000s to place the line, but more important are the effects of the complications that could occur. Infection, nerve and tissue damage, blood clots, or in the extreme, even amputation. And these complications can add something like $75,000 to $150,000 to the cost of care. So imagine that there's a different approach, that you can have a non-invasive device that gives you the same information pulse by pulse that you can get with an arterial line, but without the pain and without the risk. And imagine that this device is simple enough and easy enough to use that any member of the medical team can put it on at any time and any place. And even the parents could put it on their own child if you wanted. And so the magic behind this is sensor technology developed in Jinan Bao's lab at Stanford. We've tested on 350 people to date, starting with 1-day-old babies all the way up to 95-year-old adults. We have about 1,500 hours of data to date, of sensor data that we have synchronized pulse by pulse with arterial line data taken simultaneously. And we use this data to train artificial learning models to extract blood pressure values from the shape of the pulse waveform. Our models for neonates are currently within FDA guidelines. Our models for adults are approaching those levels. And so we feel there's a lot of advantages to this technology. It's non-invasive like a cuff would be, but it provides very rich hemodynamic information like an arterial line would, but it does this in a wearable, comfortable, and easy-to-use way like nothing else out there today. We plan to offer a family of FDA-cleared devices. We'll start inpatient and move to outpatient. We'll start with neonates and move up to adults. Our first product will be for neonates. It's a disposable, single-use product. And we feel that it offers more timely, cost-effective treatment, reduced labor costs, as well as reduced risk of complications. And so far, the responses that we have gotten from the neonatologists that we have consulted have all been extremely positive, that they would have an alternative between arterial lines and cuffs, which don't necessarily give accurate results or timely results for babies. And so we'd like to basically change the way that you think about blood pressure measurements and how you monitor it. We can offer you a device that's gentle enough to use with babies, but it's comfortable and easy to use by everyone else. And we'd love to work with people like you to try to make this a reality. And thank you again. Thank you very much. Got it. Thank you. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Last but not least is the Outstanding Startup Pitch Award. So as you've seen with our previous pitches, they're all fantastic. So this company also had a very great pitch. They articulated the problem that they wished to solve. They have compelling technology to enable that solution. They have a handle on the market. That is, they have a plan to attract investment. They have an ability eventually to drive revenue. And they also understand the pitfalls, the risks, or the barriers, such as the regulatory environment. And on top of all that, it is the quality of the founders that's so important for their product to succeed. So please join me in congratulating our winner, Xtherma.
All right. It's so good to be here. Thank you, Dan. Thank you, SU. Thank you, everybody, for coming. So my name is Eli, and I am a co-founder of Xtherma, and we're banking organs to repair the human body on demand. So our story starts actually with a paradox. Now, 800,000 people die every year from end-stage organ disease. That's 16,000 school buses full of kids, 16,000. And yet, only fewer than 37,000 transplants happen every year in the US. That's not even 5% of the actual need. Now, you heard this many times before. We just don't have enough donors. We just need more organs. Well, that's only partially true, because here's a shocker for you. We waste 80% of all transplantable organs. And we do that because we simply are not very good at preserving them for more than a few hours, which is not enough time to get from donor to patient. So how do you really preserve anything biological? You lower the temperature. But as you lower the temperature, ice will form inside and outside of the cells and destroy the tissue. So what we did is actually we looked at nature. Nature is very good at preserving things. There's a type of fish that is the Arctic flounder that is able to withstand extremely low temperatures for extended periods of time. And they do that because they synthesize what are called antifreeze proteins. Now, these proteins are not good for humans, but they depress the freezing point, and in that way, they basically preserve the body from ice damage. So we applied a little bit of scientific magic, and we synthesized a biomimetic molecule that is so good at preserving from ice damage that it enabled us to bring what would be dead organs back to life. So take a look. The left-hand side is a mouse heart that is stored in industry standard solution, which is HDK, at -5 degrees for 1 hour. And of course, when you check for functionality, as you would expect it, it's completely dead. Now, on the right-hand side, we have a mouse heart stored in our solution for 4 hours at -5 degrees centigrade, and it is beating again. It is beating again just like a fresh heart would. So let me stop here for just a second and then really emphasize how big of a breakthrough this really is. We've been able to do something that was the goal in organ transplants for 5 decades. We were able to bring back an organ to full functionality after freezing it. But we went way beyond that, so we did a transplant study with Johns Hopkins with Dr. Brandecker. He's just one of the top surgeons. He did the first penis and scrotum transplant in the world. He did the first double arm transplant in the US. And so we preserved hearts for 24 hours at -5 degrees, and well, 100% success rate, and all the hearts behave just like fresh hearts would. So what do you get really with our solution? Of course, you get more organs, naturally, because we get rid of all of the waste, right? Hundreds of thousands of more organs. We have been working with the Department of Defense, and they did an analysis in 2016, and we may be able to get rid of waiting lists within 3 years with our solution. But you also get, thank you. Thank you very much. But you also get better organs because it's all about outcomes. So lower rejection rates, shorter hospital stays, just overall lower healthcare costs. But how we look at ourselves is truly as an enabler and accelerator of all of regenerative medicines. So you've heard about 3D printed tissues, organs grown in the lab. They all need shelf life, and we're here to make that happen. We have an amazing team. This is my fourth company. Mark and Xiaoxi, my co-founders, they're the actual brains behind the compound. They're both chemistry PhDs. We have 10 more employees. And we worked with DARPA, Molecular Foundry, the Department of Defense, Lawrence Berkeley National Labs, and so on. And so once again, we are Exterma. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Way to go. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Exterma, and thank you all of our esteemed judges and all of the participants who made their pitches for the 2019 MEDI Awards.